coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Since I was born, been stacking my coin. These niggas is pop, my money keep growing. Your girl is a dot, she all on my groin. She blowing my horn, we fuck like porn. These rappers is whack, they lyrics is corn. I'm getting this money, it never get born. I'm loading my strap, they calling the law. Fuck around on your clap, for running your jaw. If it ain't about the dollars, then it don't make sense. Got me sipping brown water, but it ain't from Flint. Trying to chase all this bread, though the shit won't last. About to shut the city down like a crypto crash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin.
All right, ladies and gents, what's going on? It's your boy Crypto Blood, Off the Chain, episode 16 tonight. Hope you guys are doing well. Oh man, we got some real good topics to talk about tonight. I'm just waiting for Trek to join before we get started. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thumbs up. Let me give a shout out to John. We got Crypto Don Juan, Life Size Box, Will, Crypto Monk, Super Steve. I know Super Steve. What's good, man? Hope everyone's doing well. But yeah, we got some great topics to talk about tonight. God, so much going on. I don't know if you guys saw the video I did this morning about AI. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Crazy. We've got China. They're attacking all the crypto exchanges. What does that mean for like Binance and a whole bunch of exchanges over there in China? But it's just weird because they're not talking, like they're acting like they don't have offices over there. So it's just weird. We're going to talk about that. Talk about Andrew Yang, how MSNBC sabotaged that whole situation, man. I'm telling you, the left is just so corrupt. Both sides are corrupt, but in particular, man, the left, they're terrorists, man. And then we're going to talk about COPPA. I don't know if you guys may not know about this because you're not necessarily YouTubers. But COPPA is a situation, a law that was by the FTC. I thought it was the FCC, but it's the FTC that's affecting a lot of YouTubers on January 1st, 2020. Primarily, you know, the channels that are geared towards children. So we're gonna look into that, and I got some theories about that whole situation too. So we're gonna get started here in a second. I think I got Trek in finally. Let's see if I can get him.
Yo. Stacking my coin. Stacking my coin. Stacking my coin. Stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Stacking my coin. Stacking my coin. Stacking my coin. Stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Since I was born, stacking my coin. Oh shit, my bad, bro. I ain't have the speaker on. All right, now I can hear you. Yo, I have to be doing something right, bro, because the fucking scammers now on LinkedIn, bro. Like, yo. Oh.
stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash.
Smoking on that crippy got me cliff high. Steam pot, heat rock, slingshot.
Oh, this is gonna be funny, bro.
Lined up already, people. So we're gonna get started here in a second. Letting Trek get his color people time set up going.
We get situated.
Get him situated. So I see the caller on the line. So just give us a second, man.
Yeah. All right, I gotta figure this out.
I hope it's Pat. Is that the guy's name? What was the guy's name from last week?
No, it was Todd.
Todd. Yeah, we got Pat. We got Patrick. He's already in the queue right now.
I wonder which Patrick is. Is it a Patrick?
The brother that called in and was on video with us last week.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. So what's let me see here. Let me just close this out. Yeah. All right, people. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. We got a lot to talk about. Yo, yesterday's little recording we did was nice, man. I can't wait to hear that.
Again, bro, thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate all of y'all for coming on that. Alright. So, let me just throw it out there now. Hopefully, I gotta do this thing. And I'm trying to cheat here with doing the phone. You know what? I gotta turn that off. That's gonna annoy the hell out of me. And I think that's that lady.
All right, people. We're going to get started here. So, yeah, man, again, it was great having you on or getting on your whole hookup yesterday. When should people expect that to be out?
Okay, so the 13th, the first day. So pretty much with what Lauren was saying was for the things that she has recorded and everything kind of put together already. Our segment is definitely going to end up dropping on the first day, which is going to be the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what's going on? So I'm doing two ways right now. I'm trying to be like friggin' King and Zay. We're doing like multi platform streaming.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing the IG live through the phone right now, and I'm talking with you. So
gotcha.
That's how this is going down. First time trying this out. We'll see how it rolls.
Practice makes perfect. That's what I
right. Say. And I need to cut the folks who are trying to get me on LinkedIn right now. All right, because that whole comment, I'm gonna talk to you about that one later, bro.
I don't know why the chat widget isn't working right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not too sure why. Let me see here. Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong. Oh, I know why. I got this other layer up for super chats. So if I got another widget up, people, for super chats. So now I will see any questions that you guys send me. There we go. Now we're cracking. So I will see your super chats. Any questions you have, you can get them in like that. But yeah, man. Let's go ahead and just kick it off, man. Like, I guess I first want to just hear from the caller, because I mean the callers are, I kind of why I do these shows. So let's see what this caller here on the line. Let's get him on real quick. It's your boy Crypto Blood. Who's calling in?
Crypto Blood, how you doing? How's it going, guy?
Good. Who's calling?
Oh, this is your buddy Todd. I was up at your Max Kaiser event.
Todd!
I was like, I missed your last call in, and I was like, I can't miss another one. So,
Glad you called in, brother.
We still love you, Todd.
We still love you, Todd.
Hey, the other guy in there, I met him at the event too, didn't I? Was he there?
I don't know, man.
Wait, who are we talking about?
That was Max Kaiser event, yeah.
Oh yeah, he was there.
Oh wow.
Wait, hold on. You're that Todd?
The Detroit
I'm
Drake.
No, are you the Todd that called in last week?
No, I'm a different Todd. I'm the Todd that was wearing
that's what I thought. I didn't think you were the Todd that was at the Max Kaiser event.
Okay.
Hell no.
No, I'm the Todd that was at the Max Kaiser event in Detroit. We got Max to speak in Cleveland, and he did a heck of a great job. I mean, it was real good bar time banter and good stuff. So got some good back and forth. Yeah, and I'm actually speaking at Blackland Cleveland with a regulatory panel talking about all this crazy stuff that the IRS and all these other guys are doing. So it's a really interesting space to be in. You know, CP.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us, what do you want to talk about tonight? I mean, we got the topics. You know, we're talking about China and their attack on crypto exchanges in particular. We got Andrew Yang. I don't know if you want to get political, the COPPA thing with YouTube and AI. Kind of give us your take on any of those topics, and we'll kind of kick it off.
Yeah, well, to be quite honest with you, when it comes to politics, I'm not kind of a one topic voter. You know, like if Andrew Yang's pro blockchain, that's great, but he's also anti-gun, and a couple other things. He's for that UBI, which I think is a bunch of socialist garbage.
I know, man. Like that's my problem too. Like some of the stuff that Yang talks about, I'm cool with. I like some of the other stuff, the gun laws and stuff. Those are red lines. That's a line in the sand for me.
Yeah, because I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily trust the government with all the power. I think the people need the power. And once you take away their teeth, they don't have any freedom. So.
Yeah, I mean, that was the whole point of us having gun rights, right? It wasn't necessarily to protect me from, Pookie down the street that's trying to get in my house. I mean, I can, but
yeah, but I mean, a well-armed society is a polite society. You know, I mean, when there's a cost to doing something wrong, then people are going to be more, upright with you. So. Yeah, on the Yang thing, I kind of brush him away as being a fringe candidate that seems like a one-note Johnny. Hey, I'm pro crypto and I want to give you a free $1,000. It's like, I don't know, when someone offers me something for free, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a scam. So
everything
send
has
me one
cost.
Bitcoin, I'll send you. Send me one Bitcoin, I'll send you two. I'll give you 1,000 if you vote for me, right?
Well, okay. So, now this kind of ties in. So Trek sent me a Greg Hunter interview with Catherine Austin Fitz, right? I don't know if you saw that one, Todd. But
no, I focused on Greg Hunter a little bit, but he's a little bit too much of a Trump horn tutor, and
he is. You're right.
I don't know.
He is.
Yeah,
but he be having some interesting folks though, like on the end of the people who actually are in the more like political and economic, and he's better on that side of it to me. Like I used to be real heavy on him, and then when we got into the like Trump era, it was a little too much for me. But I still value his guest. That's what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're right,
absolutely.
Todd. I'm totally with you on that. Like I'm a Trump, like I like Trump, but this guy Greg Hunter, man, Trump can do no wrong with him.
Right.
Yeah, and then he invokes God and stuff like that, and it's like, I believe in God, but I don't necessarily believe in his version of the red, white, and blue flagging, love Trump kind of God, right?
Right.
So, I mean, Trump was probably the best candidate last time, but I still didn't vote for him, so. But, I don't know. I was kind of interested in, with all this China stuff going on, there's also stuff that's not being talked about. Like, for example, that the French military is using Tezos as a blockchain they're testing on, right?
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah,
I heard part of that, and I was like, wow, this is something that it seems to be skirting under the radar because all these other coins are dropping, this thing's staying stable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, China can't really screw around with Tezos if the French government's going to start teaching students about blockchain as part of their curriculum. But yeah, I don't even know what's going on with China. I mean, I know that there was something with Vitalik possibly being at a North Korea summit, which could be disastrous.
Why would that be
there was
disastrous?
some kind of, well, because if there's some kind of trade barrier between North Korea and the United States, and North Korea has been used as a proxy for antagonizing between the U.S. and China for ages now. So,
Okay.
I think that it's quite possible that there could be some government interference if that pushes too far, with the folks from Binance and everything like that. But I think there's still a lot of information that needs to come out on that before I continue to talk about that. But China, I don't necessarily know what they're doing with building. I mean, isn't that one company that makes the ant miners building like the largest mining facility in Texas?
Bitmain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now if they're doing that, and they still have a presence in China, if China really wanted to attack that, wouldn't they put a stop to that?
Here's how I look at this whole thing, right? China said from the get-go what they were going to do about blockchain. They made incremental moves that showed they were going to incorporate it within their bigger monetary policy and practice and legal system. Like, everyone's acting all like, oh my God, they're trying to take over the world. I mean, every sovereign nation does what they do to try to be the number one honcho for however long they can do it. That's just a part of that particular nature of how sovereign governments work, right? Whatever. In regards to this particular thing, though, my thing, what's going on, Rice? Is that this particular situation for that exchange that they ended up like closing down, when you actually get into the article, they talk about the issue was capital flight is what the umbrella term is of how they're going after the exchanges. So it isn't a matter of like, China is quote anti-crypto, anti-blockchain. No, they anti having people exit out the mainstream system that they control. It's a very different thing than saying they're anti-blockchain, anti-crypto.
I think they're anti-crypto.
Well, the current regulation for China is per person you're not allowed to send more than 50,000 outside of the country in a single year, and U.S. banks have to be beholden to that as well. So, if you're a U.S. bank and you see $50,000 coming in from one guy and another guy that's not related to him, then that's a flag for Chinese capital flight that the big banks kind of take seriously. So, regardless of whether it's a China policy, U.S. banks are also kind of carrying the staff on respecting that capital flight. Now, we could also think that if they're using that for crypto, if there's U.S. exchanges that have someone that has, I don't know, say a dual citizenship with China and the U.S., and they're using that for capital flight, that could be looked at as a circumvention of their system. And of course, they're going to want to close that off. Now, I think what they want to do is they want to establish a sovereign currency, right?
Answer me this one. What does the citizenship make a difference of?
Well, I don't know. I guess that may have been a poor example on my part, but my part was, say, a Chinese citizen opening up an exchange at an exchange account at Coinbase, right? And let's say they transfer money from China to the U.S. But yeah, you're right, because they still need a fiat gateway, because you can't really spend crypto that easily.
Yeah, you do. You do. I mean, the fiat isn't going anywhere, so you got to have that pairing. It's gonna always be there, in my opinion. Whether it's go ahead.
Let me say it this way. Depending on what you're trying to do, right? If you telling me that, I'm just trying to move my relative worth in this system to another system, do you really need the off-ramp? Because what you're really trying to do is just insulate yourself from what's going on your initial start off point, right? Because I look at it this way, like, if China's making these actions, that means that like there's some signaling going on that something economic is about to go down, and people are doing things to insulate themselves from that. The option of being able to get out into the crypto thing. Now, granted, yes, if you want to spend in the real world, the fiat-based world, yes, you quote need that off ramp. But if it's just about insulating yourself and then letting everything settle and do what it does, and then you just jump back in, like, all right, now I'm back, right? That's what you do with hard assets when you talk about like, you know, real estate or precious metals. The only difference in this to that is those central authorities have an easier handle in snatching up those hard real world assets in comparison to this.
Right. And it also could be something like portability. For example, if your money's in China, you buy crypto, you transfer it over, and then you go into another fiat, then you're not really shifting modes, you're shifting jurisdiction.
Right.
Like, for example, if you're familiar with like Canada, there's like $1 million houses in this one area of Canada. I can't remember which one it was, but it was all corrupt Chinese political money.
And then they stopped that shit by requiring a residency. And that was in like 20, like around 2017, going into 18 going into 19, or 17 going into 18. But they cut Canada and that local jurisdiction, put a kibosh on that by requiring a residency. And because that was the issue. Money was coming in, the real estate people was just going out and snatching up properties for people that was never going to come to the country. And then it was like, oh, wait, you're not going to come here? You just land squatting, property squatting, and then you're going to dump it once like everything works out cool on your end? Bump that. If you're not living here, then you can't get nothing. Asian countries do it all the time.
Yeah, but then you also notice an increase in Chinese students going to schools in Canada. And they'll kind of like use this as an excuse to be able to kind of do that as well. You know, you buy a property for like $40,000 and then you sell it to your cousin for $100,000, and then you sell it to your other cousin for $300,000 as they all move in. It's called like the Chinese rock placement theory of capital gains, where, you know, I place this rock on the ground, I sell it to you for $5, you sell it to the next guy for $100. That's kind of why the property value build up.
Fucking uptick though. But all right, you know what's funny? Here's something that I learned about the other day that the Chinese did to the U.S., which runs on that same theory. And it's funny that they used like the basic thing of how banking works, in that if I give you $100, that means you can leverage out and loan out 100,000, right? 12,000.
Mm-hmm.
So they would go into banks like a Chase or a Wells Fargo or whatever, the bigger name ones. All right, I'm gonna drop $2 million. I'm gonna drop, you know, 500,000. I'm gonna drop 5 million, and then they go to the same bank and be like, all right, now I want to get a loan for like 5 times what I deposited in, and then they were just going and straight buying a property, East Coast, West Coast, North, South,
mm-hmm. And now they're in Mexico,
right? And then they were doing the same thing in London,
in Africa.
Huh. Don't even get me started on Africa. Like. But it's crazy to me that we had these loopholes in the system, and they saw them, figured them out, and then they did what anyone who understood what the loophole was to take advantage of it, right? And then you have it that all you hear in the bigger press or in the bigger news thing is all of this other like over there stuff, but not what's happening right here. I used to work in trucking, bro. And I remember when they started trying to take primary control of certain ports, especially like East Coast, West Coast, the 2 main ports, bro, there was such a blowback effect. But it was blowback in the wrong way, of the way that the politicians was playing out. It was this whole like, oh, we can't have, quote, foreigners owning American ports. But like when you look at who the shipping company is, when you look at who the actual property management of a pier is, when you look at who the insurance companies are, bro, like it's crazy how much of it is not American based to begin with. And yet
they cornered the market.
Yeah, so I guess my question to both of you guys, like kind of getting back to the whole crypto in China and how they're clamping down on these exchanges, but there's so much inconsistency. So we got like Binance is over there, but then they're kind of saying they're not, and they're what's going like? What do you guys think is going on with
See?
Yeah,
I can throw you a curveball right now. I can throw you a curveball on that right now. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with what CUBs are?
What?
CUBS. The Chinese underground banking system.
Oh
no.
Okay.
It's being used like heavily with Mexican cartels. Now, earlier this week, Donald Trump called them all terrorist organizations. Isn't that ironic that China's clamping down on the crypto markets? Trump waged war against the cartels, and the cartels' main transfer of money has been Chinese underground banking systems.
I would argue about their main means of transporting, because certain banks like HSBCU literally made drop boxes for them. So
that was funny.
Exactly.
That was funny.
I was about to interrupt you and say, other than HSBC and all the other ones, but the Chinese underground banking system may be taking away from their market share of dirty money. So it could be quite possible.
Do you think Binance is just in bed with the Chinese government or what? Because they're able to operate. Like I think their actual infrastructure is outside of China mainland. I think they're in like the Maldives or some island.
He's definitely jurisdiction hopping. Like since he's been jurisdiction hopping. The main like the C-level folks, his main operating folks, and then like infrastructure stuff. I definitely might not like all of the things he says and then how he runs the company on things, but I will give it to him in being smart enough to understand, looking out ahead, like, hey, let me not put all of my eggs in this basket jurisdiction-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I do too, but I don't like how he was last week, lashing out at the crypto community, saying, he's gonna sue you if you report something that essentially he doesn't like. Is basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, but okay, so that's also on the end of like who's your the handlers as far as like your marketing people, and then like your business management folks as far as, okay, hey, if we can steer the public narrative the way we need it to and we don't have a counter, like I think what's going on as far as how we see it on this outside of the China situation, I think they're probably trying to have a real PR control of the situation to be like, no, we're not there. Because if you notice, like, who's really going out to China to be like, hey, like, do you know where the Binance office is? And you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's doing that. And then you don't necessarily have them saying on their side, like, well, we still have that office over there, right? It's more so, well, we don't have an office or we're not operating there. And now you got to wonder, like, well, how are we using now we're starting to play the semantics game. That's the other thing that annoys me about him. And that's
he has to play the
spin doctors.
Yeah, I think he has to do that because, I mean, there may be a rumor that he's in bed with China, but I can't say too much more than this, but I think he's in bed with a lot of different governments.
I mean,
I think he's being used.
He's got to be. He's got to be. When you get that big, you become compromised. There's no way an organization can become that big, and it goes for crypto and non-crypto. We could talk about Amazon, Microsoft, Apple. All of these big mega corporations have to at some point have been compromised to get that big. You don't get that big without being. It's no tax. You can't do that tax free.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And when I mean by tax free, I don't mean because all of them don't pay taxes. You got to pay taxes some way.
The extortion tax.
Exactly. So.
Yo, Crypto Mind just said, what he said? He said Binance is all laptop, no office.
Hey, they may be working out of WeWork up in this joint.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you notice how quickly after CZ Binance said that we're going to be accepted through WeChat Pay, and they said, no, you're not. There's probably a really good reason for that.
Of course. Of course.
Good
because
point.
of the fact that they know something that we don't. So
I mean,
that's all I'll say.
The whole WeChat situation, though, like, I remember when I first heard about WeChat, man, I was just like, yo, are you for like there's something like this? And then it's like what, threefold the user base of Facebook? And
Yeah, but the thing is, we talked about this yesterday on your panel.
right.
Or at least I brought up this whole point of, bringing it back to crypto. Like, you have the WeChats of the world, you have the Alipays of the world. Those are direct competitors to what we're trying to do here, even though it's not decentralized and is not, the ease of use for those and those types of platforms, man, is a direct competition to the crypto world and the crypto wallets and stuff, right? Those are direct competition markets for us. And how do we position in the crypto game? How do we beat that when they're vertically integrated?
And it goes back to the same thing I said the other day. What gets us in these first tier and second tier countries is we have a higher level of convenience factor that makes it that these things work out to where we don't have to figure out, how to get around, quote, the system, because everything is integrated enough and works to where, like, quote, we don't have a problem. Like, but we're not in a situation of a Hong Kong, of a Iran, of a Barcelona. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not in those situations. Yes, there are certain little, you know what it is too. There are pain points, but the pain points aren't at the larger societal level. The pain points are the individuals who are getting sniped at individually. So like you have X amount of adult, actors and actresses, we'll call it that, who when they bank find out what they do, they freeze their money and close out their account and then don't want to give it back. That's here in the States, right?
Yeah, we saw that with the ex-CEO of what, PayPal or Twitter? Which one?
It was
I can't
PayPal.
remember. PayPal.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they debunked all those Pornhub guys, right?
right. But like we have it that it's not at a across the board bigger, larger societal level. When you snipe at people individually, you got that whole, what do they call it? When they what's that it's like a couple of lines and saying, like, when they went for this person, it wasn't nothing for me, or it didn't have anything to do with me. Like, that's just how we are in these first tier countries, because we have systems that are in place that give us convenience to where we're not worried about the other person and their down situation, because it's, quote, not affecting us.
Yeah,
Like,
first they came for the gypsies and I didn't say anything. Then they came for the Jews and I didn't say anything. And then they came for me and there was no one to say anything. Right.
And that's what our issue is. Like, I honestly believe that is what our issue is. So when it comes to this whole thing about, like, promoting cryptos in particular as a use case, we're up against that, where people don't have that necessarily, quote, community thought process and seeing, like, oh, if the individual has this issue, that means the bigger society has the issue. That's not how we think. That's not how we operate on the West.
Yeah.
No doubt. Silence is consent. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's almost like with the German banks allowing the selling in custody of cryptocurrency starting January 2020. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I honestly,
if you're regulated,
I don't know.
I don't think it's a good thing.
Yeah, because if they have certain restrictions that banks have, that you have to have all this AML KYC, and then they implement blockchain analytics, essentially cryptocurrency may become something that we want no part of.
Right. It's already there, man. We're getting there. We're getting there. It's pretty much
there's
there.
Still privacy coins.
There's still privacy coins, sure.
To a
but
degree.
They, as we stated last week, very easy to marginalize privacy coins and make anyone who has them look like a bad guy. It's very easy for them to do that. And at that point, Todd, people aren't, man, we bow down so quickly, bro, without any type of resistance. So if they come out tomorrow and say, like Russia is looking to do, I don't know if you saw my video about Russia this week. Russia's looking to ban cryptocurrencies as a means of payment. Like you won't be able to use cryptocurrencies to purchase things. That's very close to being passed in Russia.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this: if that made it to law, I will almost guarantee within 3 years they will reverse that.
Why do you say that?
It's almost like
why would they need to? Who would pull their coattail to do that?
Because if there's this much, how am I saying this? I'm being optimistic, right? But I'm also gonna say it on the end of, anytime a government all right, let me say it this way: you can make the rule, right? But the issue being is you make the rule and then you keep it to an enforcement level when you know you can control all means and playing points and like the parameters of it all, right? Within this thing of the crypto space, it doesn't work like that because the technology is the part that you can't control. So like, you want to talk about, oh, well, you can't use it to pay for blah, blah, blah. All right, bet. We're not going to use it to pay for the electricity or my mortgage or my rent or go buy food, like from the supermarket directly. But if, Jabushka, who lives on the first floor and she over there making some, name a Russian dish, and I don't got no food going on in my house, I'm like, all right, listen, I got some, Bitcoin, here you go. Why? Because she don't put it.
But those types of transactions are fringe. Though they again, that marginalized, that just pushes it out, and it's not any major impact to the economy, though. I don't think.
No, here's where I'm going though. When you look at the larger thing for history and how governments are, at a certain point, when something becomes too used on the like regular society level, especially once they realize that there's a certain there's money that they missing out on, they reverse whatever the damn rule was to make sure that they can bring it into the fold. It works in cultural things. It works in products and items. Prohibition is the perfect example of that in the U.S. The government said, no, we're not going to be able to allow this. And what happened? That shit lasted a quick hot second, and then we went back to, all right, now you can make alcohol, and then the whole thing blew up into a huge industry.
Yeah, even a better example would be allowing for the legalization of medical marijuana, right? I'm sure glad it's only for medical, because I'm sure these people with medical cards aren't using it for recreational purposes. So,
I'm honestly not a fan of that setup because of the stipulations that come with being registered,
not being able to be a gun owner.
It's a few things. That's a little weird. I know in Michigan they're doing the recreational. I think in January is going to be, or it just passed or something. I don't know the details of it, but I know when you had a medical marijuana card, you couldn't own a gun, you couldn't. It was a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm not sure how it's going to pan out with it being recreational, fully recreational here in Michigan.
Yeah, I guess the parallel I was trying to draw is when the government says you can't use this for this, there's always plenty of ways around it. I mean, if they made guns illegal in Chicago, a lot of people own guns. They made the war on drugs.
Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws and is the most violent place I've ever seen.
Yeah, because people that follow the law don't have any kind of protection. So I mean,
well, not only that, like the violence is mostly against gangs versus gangs. And they not following no rules on whether or not they can pack a Glock or 100-round drum or whatever. So it
Bro.
just...
And this is the thing that gets me. This is I'm actually writing this thing now called the Seesaw of Mass Adoption. And I'm not talking about like I'm writing a book or anything like that. Like maybe 1,000 words, maybe it might only be a couple hundred, whatever. But that's one of the things in regards to the top down, bottom up model. Like the government says one thing, the people as the quote bottom say something else, and then you have this back and forth thing going to it. And because of the open source nature of the underpinning technology of this all, people will keep figuring out how to do what they need to do to survive, how they need to survive. So that's the people who need to, quote, survive. And then that's the people who also, quote, want to game the system, the greedy folks. These two mindsets will have ingenuity be the thing to get them to push this technology further and further.
Yeah, I hear you. My man Ed Carrington said that today it's the first day for recreational sales here in Michigan for weed. So that's interesting. I didn't know that. So
wait till you see the mom and pop businesses that pop up around that industry. It's really interesting. It's like within like the next 5 years, it'll be like a real land grab on like how many things are going to pop up between like the restaurants, associated services of things like doing share ride, car ride and stuff. What's the other thing? Because I noticed it in was it Cleveland? Is it? No, not. Yeah, I think it's Cleveland. It was interesting to see like the other industries that just like popped up around between food, share ride services, and a couple of other things. But you're gonna see that land grab happening.
Well, Todd, man, thanks for calling in, bro. I've got another caller. You can either call back in a little while or whatever. It doesn't matter. You can stay on the line, but I'm gonna get to this next caller really quickly.
All right, guy. Good chat.
All right, man. Thanks.
That's
a good Todd. That's a Todd that's got his head on his shoulders. I didn't even have to bring out the guns tonight. Yeah. All right. Now that's my guy Todd. He came down to Michigan when we had the Max Kaiser event. It was great to see him down there, and he actually had Max come down to Cleveland as well. So kudos to Todd. Appreciate him.
His face.
He had his daughter there. He had his daughter was around my daughter's age. Carl on the line, it's your boy Crypto Blood. We got Trek as the co-host tonight. Who's calling in?
Hey, this is LJ.
LJ, what's going on? West Side in the building.
What's up? That's right. What's up, Trek?
What's going on?
What's up, Trek? Hey, you probably don't even remember, but we met in Vegas a year ago. We went to what was Reggie. We went to his Reggie. We went to his penthouse.
You remember my man who was recording Trek? The brother?
I'm the brother from LA.
Oh, wow.
Brother from out of LA.
Yeah.
Yo, what's going on, man?
I'm the brother from out the bricks, man. You know, that happenstance, happen to be there. You know. Yeah, man, what's happening, man? Checking all out. Was listening to the subject matter, a little earlier. I definitely have my 2 satoshis to put in.
On what point? Go ahead.
Well, as far as on the gun thing with Chicago, I come out the bricks, man, and I tell you like this, man. In LA, the guns that they got in Chicago, that stuff ain't cheap, man. So my thing is this: how the hell is a community that's so impoverished getting firepower that on the streets of LA costs money? These dudes has got, you see the pictures of 7, 8 dudes hanging out, and every one of them got a strap, and it ain't no peace shooters. These dudes got AKs, they got 45, this stuff's not cheap, man.
Heavy artillery.
But nobody goes to say, wait a minute, it's like following the money. How the hell are these dudes getting this firepower? They're not walking in stores and getting this.
Hell no.
See, and they're not going across the border. They're not going to
check.
I think, man, it's so a lot of these cats are carrying like Dracos, which I mean here in Michigan, I can get a Draco. I can get a handgun Draco. I can get an AR-15 handgun. I can get a full AR-15. I can get these assault rifle. They're semi-automatic, but I think what I've heard is that a lot of these cats are getting it from Indiana. So there's a lot of black market stuff going on in Indiana, the gun laws are much laxer, much more
Mm-hmm.
lax, so they can.
Well, I don't doubt that there isn't a pipeline, but the whole thing still goes back to, once again, these firearms are not cheap. This
No.
stuff is not cheap, man. Dudes is not taking little corner crack dollars and accumulating that up to buy this firepower, man. So
Right,
my
no, I
thing
agree.
is, this firepower is being shipped wholesale. It's being shipped wholesale, and it's being dropped at the cheapest dollar cost possible. Meaning that I'm not even giving a damn about significant profits, because in LA, you're not getting that like that. Dudes want a couple $1,000 for that.
Yep.
You know, now you can get a pea shooter, you can get a 38 or something like that for $300, $400, $500, but that ain't even cheap. You know, especially for a cat who's standing on the corner doing his hustling, or a cat who's living out some projects, man. You know, and then you got to ask yourself if the straps are getting confiscated, and then you're reacquiring. How many of those cats are getting caught with guns? How many of those cats are throwing guns? How many of those cats are ditching guns? And then you coming right back a day later, a week later, and you reheat it. You know, see, but nobody looks at that to say, well, wait a minute. You know, it's no different than the drugs. You know, the cats who are selling drugs on the corner, they're not shipping tons of drugs across state lines or across borders or any of that type of stuff. You know,
Oh, you mean
but the
they don't?
focus.
I thought they had plugs with the cartel. I thought they were moving bales.
Nah,
That's what
nah,
the
I
rappers.
mean,
That's what the rappers say.
I mean, the truth be told, you might have one cat or two cats that got a plug. I'll give you an example. In LA,
Yo,
in LA, the dynamics of that stuff changed.
Yeah, I know. Same
You
here.
know, so that you know, but that.
ain't
But
nobody.
that goes back.
Go ahead, bro.
No, but that goes back to the media, you know, and the proliferation of information and the type of information that's being put out to the people. You know, you control the mediums, you know, then you control people's
You control the
perceptions,
narrative,
people
yeah.
understandings, people, you know, you control the narrative. You know, so I have to always go back to that and say, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? Who's controlling the narrative that's got people thinking? Because what happens when we see that, the first thing you think, oh, we need to come out hard on the street criminals and this and that and so forth. Wait a minute. Nobody takes a step back and say, well, there's a whole broader picture. Why aren't we going after attacking the broader perspective of this? You know, and I have to say, well, who wants this narrative, you know, to be permeated throughout, you know, the society, culture? Who wants us to have this mindset, you know, where we look at the smaller picture as opposed to the bigger picture? And then I have to look at, you know, when I look at that, I have to look at politics. I have to look at the whole spectrum of all the things that's going on when it comes to dissemination of information.
So speaking of politics,
of
politics, LJ, I don't know if you're familiar with what Andrew Yang, man, he's pissed off at MSNBC. Okay, MSNBC had a you know, their whole little debate with the Democrats, right? And it was about 100,000 of them on stage because they're all trying to go against Trump. But he only got, and I'm gonna read this right from the article,
like
man.
6 minutes.
This guy got 6 minutes and 48 seconds of speaking time versus all the other candidates got about 10 minutes on average. And he said he's not coming on MSNBC until he gets an apology. He's like, you know, he's so pissed off at them, man. What are your thoughts? I don't know your political, you know, views or whatnot.
You know, I ain't gonna lie, I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a Trump supporter, man. And what's so crazy is I come out the bricks.
What did we talk about?
I come out the
Hey,
bricks.
Trey, what did
know.
we talk about yesterday?
Yo, we
Yo,
was just talking about this yesterday.
hold on, bro. Hold on.
And I ain't no Russian bot. I ain't no Russian bot.
Man.
You know.
Man.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you like this. See, I know about the 1994 crime bill, and I'll be damned if I let that witch win when you turn around and locked up more blacks than any other time in U.S. history. You call young black men super predators, and you think I'm gonna reward you for that? No, I took a picture to make sure posterity had me dropping the ballot in the box.
Yo, so look,
You will not be rewarded for our demise.
LJ, yesterday we talked about this off the record. It was after we recorded. So there is, and I didn't even know, I don't know if Trek knew this. I didn't know this.
What?
They are banning and disabling hundreds of various black Facebook groups online. They're just like making them go away. And I was joking, and I said they're probably talking about Trump, as far in a good way. And come to find out, a lot of them were. And so there's a war going on right now to silence the voice of black males, primarily black males that are in support of Trump.
All right, let me throw this one out. I'm gonna jump on Yang and I'm gonna hit Trump. On the Yang situation, bro, no one cares. Like, at the end of the day, no one cares. When people started getting on Trump about, oh, you talking too much, oh, you do, what did he do? He was just like, all right, bump it. I'm gonna just go over to Twitter. Because guess what? Twitter is more real time getting directly to the people than me going on your stupid stage for your MSNBC, for your Fox, whatever, for whatever other channel. And then you do the delayed, and then you have the silence button. Like, nah, dog, you know what? Done. I just hit 1 million people. And what? If he's not getting that the game has changed for how to get his word out and voice to the people, granted, I don't agree with his shit, then he ain't gonna win. Like, no one needs to apologize to you all you can. Like, understand the game has changed. He's not. And then on the Trump situation, I'm gonna say when we get into 2020, watch how the narrative of blacks who support Trump is gonna be a real, like, a low thing in the popular narrative. It's not going to be a color thing as far as black people, but we going to talk to one another and be like, well, yeah, you know, I agree with this thing that he does, or like, oh yeah, you know, he did blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to the bigger mainstream media, they're going to so downplay the shit out of it.
That's what I'm saying though. Like, I didn't even know they're doing this now. They're silencing all these black groups on Facebook that are like, okay, you know, some people say they fully agree with Trump. Some people say they agree with some of his stuff. But the narrative that the mainstream media is painting is that he's the most racist person. You know, blacks don't like him.
Like that.
Exactly.
Like as if racism just started 2 years ago when he got in office. You know. That's what makes it so crazy. That's what makes it so crazy. You got black folks that walk out of their houses. You know, whether it be Baltimore, Detroit, Chicago, LA, they walk out of their houses every single day and they look around and say, the situation in my neighborhood and in my community didn't just start 3 years ago. It's been around as long as I can remember. And yet you got people telling me that he's to blame for this when he just came on the scene, and I suck all this up like it's Kool-Aid. That don't make no sense.
It doesn't.
You know, we've been dating 55 years one way, and you haven't fulfilled not one single obligation to us. And now the last 2 or 3 years, rather than dealing with the people's business and say, hey, you know what, we don't like this guy. So how we gonna prove that he's not the right candidate is by doing for the people and showing the people that, hey, we have the majority, we can get some stuff done. And rather than do that, they've stuck with these fake narratives, all these false accusations. Look, black folks have been accused falsely for how many years? And yet we turn around and falling for the same false accusations that they used on us, that they're using on him. The same tactics. Russia, you're a Russian, this or that. What have they been calling black Trump's, or just people who are now beginning to go against the Democratic narrative? Oh, they're Russian bots. Oh, these aren't real black folks. These aren't real black accounts. They're actually Russian. Come on, man. And nobody sees this stuff. You know, same tactics.
That's a fact, bro. And
bro, it's gonna be like, it's gonna be right there. Oh, black people don't really like him.
We're not talking. I'm not talking about the just straight black dude that don't know he black. Like, you know,
no.
Yeah. Nah,
we talking about real.
Look, we talking about cats. Look, I come out of the bricks, man.
Right.
I spent years in somebody's cage.
Yeah.
I didn't done all the wrong, and now I'm looking and got a whole different perspective, and I'm seeing the bigger picture. You know, my last term, I spent 4 hours every single day studying. I drove fellas crazy because I wouldn't talk to them because they wasn't talking about nothing.
Yeah,
because I understood that I needed to have I looked out in the day room and see what y'all was doing and said, I'm going to do the complete opposite. I didn't play cards, chess, dominoes, not one single time, not even with my cellmate.
Wow.
Because I understood that if the statistics tell me that recidivism rate is 70-80%, and then I can look out in the day room and say, okay, well, you're a part of that statistic. So what are you doing? And I said, okay, I got to do the complete opposite. The difference was because
Hey Trek, Todd said in the chat room, he said he became racist when he ran Republican.
Right.
That's so true. That's so true.
Yeah. We forget about the
Yeah, all the rap cast love, talking about Trump. I'm in the Trump Tower. I'm balling like Trump. Blah blah blah. Be well before he started this presidency thing.
Look, I tell you, I go one further. I've been to Trump Towers in Chicago, and I've been to Trump Towers in Panama City, Panama. And there's more black folks working in both of those establishments than damn near anywhere I can go in Los Angeles County, other than maybe the county building or the airport. So now all these people that are on the Democratic stage, how many black folks have y'all hired? How many people have y'all really actually hired?
Bro,
so what's funny is
No, I said it last week. The Democratic Party is a terrorist cell organization. They're even going against their own people. Like, they have an agenda, bro, and they have to push it. They won't even let Andrew Yang, which again, I like some of his policy. I like some of his talking points that he's running on. I disagree with some of them as well, but as you should. I mean, I don't think you should agree with everything. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is he's got a honest agenda. He's got an honest agenda he's trying to push for America. And they gave this dude 6 minutes and 40 seconds.
I wonder whether that's his naivete. Is he naive or because Trump won because Trump understood the game. And he's understood that game, and he's continued to push that game. These other cats, I don't know whether they're just following the narrative or whether they're really naive and understanding that, they're not going to give somebody like Yang, who's not a part of the Democratic establishment, he's not going to just get carte blanche unless he does something, outside of what's expected.
Didn't I say this the other day that like he could be a distraction?
Who, Yang?
I think majority of those candidates are distractions because they can't honestly believe that any of those people really have the will for all to win.
So Crypto
I think they really want.
Crypto King in the chat room said none of them care about the black community. Period.
Nah.
I can agree. I can agree with that somewhat. Somewhat for sure. I can agree.
Every time they've been confronted with a black agenda, then they always come back. Well, we're going to do for all the poor. We're going to do for everybody. And that's skirting the subject.
Right.
But you can be specific about other groups such as illegal immigrants and and this and that and others. So that's a contradiction.
Bro, I said this to you before, CB, about like that whole DNI thing, that whole DNI movement. In my mind, when it comes to the politics side of it, and then when it comes to the business side of it, and when I say DNI, I'm talking about diversity and inclusion. Diversity and inclusion is a real American thing, and it's more of a corporate side thing, and there's a whole agenda thing to it, as I see it, as far as the politics. When we talk about saying inclusion, we're not talking about like, oh, let's talk about Black Americans or quote Black people issues. And that's that whole like language game of semantics that is being played out in the Like, look at how like I remember I was reading the lady's article. I forgot. Okay, so she had a school, I think it was in Texas, and she was saying how her issue was every time she would go to some place, and she was like, yeah, you know, funding wise, she was looking to deal with like predominant Black groups, like going to like the high schools and things like that. And when she would go to the funding sources that were funding all these other, you know, programs and stuff, the issue she was having is she would get blowback because she wasn't talking about inclusion of everyone. And because she was saying she wanted to particularly deal with, you know, Black youth, it was like, oh, no. We can't put money on that. Like, you can't just talk to Black people.
That's what I'm saying, bro. And that's what happened in Obama. His whole term, bro, it was inclusion. It was he had to group everyone in there, you know, but nothing specific for Black people. No. And what happens with that problem is this. What happens with that problem is this. If we don't, if racism or you know the hierarchy in America isn't disrupted significantly, then inclusion or not, who's going to be at the front of the line? It's like Black homosexuals and white homosexuals. You honestly think that Black homosexuals are going to be allowed to be at the front of the line before white homosexuals, or Black women and white women? You know, right now, who's the number one recipient of small minority business loans and affirmative action? White women. White women.
All because
white women and Black women.
Yeah, all because they've been created. They've been placed into being a minority group. So that's where that diversity, you know, thing comes in, and that's that semantics, because it makes it look like we're cleaning house, but in fact, all we've done is just created another lane to allow our people to get in first. So let me, LJ, I appreciate the call in. I got 3 other people in queue, man. You can call back if you want. I'm sure you got more to talk about, and I'm, you know, definitely want to. Because we didn't hit the crypto, man. You know, the China, you know, the China aspect, man. Call back in maybe 15 minutes. All right, y'all. All right, and if I don't get back in, y'all have a blessed evening, man. You too, Chuck. Same to you, bro. You know what, Chuck? I was just looking through my cards. I got you. I still got your cards, man. Your business card. Hit them up. All right, man. Thanks a lot. All right, man. All right, y'all. All right. Love. Mm-hmm. All right. So we got Patrick. He's been holding for a hot minute. You know, he always like to come in and hijack the video stream. So we're going to put him on. Pat, what's going on, bro?
Great to be back on the show, man. I appreciate it.
Look at this guy, man. He got the speakers track. Look, he got the speakers in the background. This guy.
It's what it is, man. Like, you know, I'm going viral in Japan right now. I'm going viral in Korea. It's what it is. So, but that's besides the point. Like, that's totally besides the point. I'm here to talk about COPPA, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me see. I got somebody else on the line here. Let me try to get them in first, Pat, because I want to talk about that. But the caller that's in queue maybe you know want to talk about what we're talking about right now. Give me 1 second, bro. Caller on the line. It's your boy Crypto Blood. What's going on? Who's calling?
Hey, it's the boy Priceville Mill, man. Twitter handle.
Priceville, yes, sir. What's going on, bro?
Yeah. None, just want to build, check it in, and I see what's going on. I see we are all over the place, but nonetheless, though, that's how I get the most knowledge. You feel me?
Yeah.
But to the last point, though, with the whole Trump deal, and you know, he did more for Black people than Obama. I mean, politics ain't really never did nothing for us since the '60s, bro. Like, I'm trying to understand, like, when was it the post the post-America where we was treated so good at that we can compare it to what Trump has done for us and say that it's a victory. I'm missing something right there, bro.
Track, you want to hit that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
And let's get into crypto too. Let's do that.
No doubt.
Yo, so on the
What's up, Trek, by the way? Priceville Mill Twitter handle. Sorry about that, sir. Go ahead.
what's going on, bro? So what I'm gonna say as far as the whole who did what, I think we get caught up in two things about the who did what and who was quote better at. You have the surface level things, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
As far as for example, during what's his face? Bush 2, he gave money out to the people, right?
Yeah.
And somebody who's gonna argue that's a good thing. But then
That's never a good thing.
Where'd the money come from?
That's never a good thing.
Right?
That's never a good thing because you just inflate. You just cause inflation. My whole thing is this: even with the Andrew Yang and $1,000, I'm not looking for the forward progression of everybody. I'm looking for the repair part of the reparation for us. Now, if you want to go ahead and make a stimulus package that stimulates us to repair the wrongdoing first, then I say then let's talk about that. I don't want to talk about our plight mixed in with everybody because that's the in blood. You said one thing that kind of hit on the head.
That's what's been happening. That's what's been happening.
Because I do agree that Obama did not have the handcuffs off to do what a Trump did or be as ignorant as a Trump, right? To be as ignorant, huh?
No,
you say.
People,
bro,
I constantly hear people make that defense of, oh, well, he couldn't do blah, blah, blah.
Nah. You got to talk about the same political system that listen, bro. This is the same political system that was invented when blacks was 3/5 of a person, brother. It can't represent us fully to the totality. Look at the stats. Tell me the stats that came from the 40s, the 20s, and the 60s. We still fighting for education. We still fighting for housing. And we still fighting for employment to this day.
What does reparation look like? Who does it go to? Who's black? Who's not? How does that help me understand what reparation looks like and how it's rolled out and implemented? Because that's the biggest thing I have.
Wow. You know what? That's a great question, and it's also loaded. But to talk about reparation, we also have to talk about the future value of money. As long as we can talk about compound interest, then we can't quantify. But the reason why we won't quantify because y'all know we talking about T's, not B's.
Yeah, and like I said, Catherine Fitz Austin, talked about the 21 trillion in missing money that the DOD stole from America. 21 trillion, bro.
Okay,
and, so it's corruption within. It's corruption.
Yeah,
within.
I'm just talking about strictly for us right now. The plight of us right now that is.
So help me understand. It's not a loaded. I don't have. It's not a loaded question. I literally want to hear how do we implement reparations?
And that's my point. Maybe one man don't have the answer, but I do know that $1,000 a month is far from off. And I know that's not the reparation part. That was just his thing for the American people.
Right.
My thing about reparation is going to be a little bit more difficult than that because of compound interest. When you talk about free labor and free money that was created off of a product, bruh, you can't just go back and quantify a number. You have to look at the value of the money that is today and also the wrong that has been done, pardon my language, because everybody else got paid, brother. Everybody else that America agreed to have done a wrong against, they got some form of pay.
Like I feel you. See, that's the thing.
Ahead.
Like in business, you have an idea, and that doesn't always translate to execution of that idea. You could be the greatest idea, but how do you execute and make that idea come to existence? I don't.
Well, first you have to go ahead and admit that the person was done wrong, and it seems like that's the problem that we have. It's not that the fact that they don't owe us nothing or we was done wrong. It's just that they can't quantify the number to give us. They quantify the number for the Indians. They quantify the number for the Holocaust victims. They quantify a number for everybody who they want. But for some reason, it's just like the root role of reparation is repair. It's like they don't want to repair that communication or relationship.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's just a touchy
I mean, that's just my thought. It ain't no right or wrong.
No, for sure. You got your opinion, and I'm not even necessarily saying I disagree with you. It's just the fact that I've never been on the reparation train because it's unrealistic. To me, it's unrealistic at this point.
It may be at this point though. But then why wasn't it real? Why wasn't it unrealistic for everybody else that's getting paid out? And I agree with your point. Truth to be told. And I'm not touching nothing like that. I actually love, chopping it up with you brothers like that. But it just sounds, just when we talking like that, it acts as if it was a post racism time where we were better than what we is now. And in fact, a lot of the stats still support 2019. So I think you can go ahead and keep on having a dream of Martin Luther King. I don't think nobody gonna be as more militant as a Malcolm X. And you still want me to hold on to this. You said something about your daughter being with you the other day. I have children of my own. Now, just imagine if your child came to you as a 20-year-old person, 25-year-old person with a dream they had from 3 years old. They had no KPIs or no milestones to check. At 23 years old, you might go ahead and tell that child, well, maybe you know what? Maybe we need to go ahead and tweak that dream, or better yet, just have another one, if you will. Except us. We are still told to hold on to the dream that Martin Luther King had years ago, in a place right now, brother, that, he is less relevant to my children than he was to me.
Bro.
That's just all I'm saying.
I hear you.
Yo, hold on. Okay.
Go ahead, Trent.
The other day,
just my opinion. Go ahead.
No, bro.
Absolutely.
I'm not even going to say you're wrong, okay? Where I'm going is this, right?
Yeah.
The other day, I posted out something about Marcus Garvey. I think it was off of I forgot. I think I was responding to somebody's thing, and it was like, Marcus Garvey, concept-wise, X amount of the things are still relevant, but the execution side, as CB talks about, in this modern day,
that shit ain't gonna fly, dog.
This modern
ain't gonna fly, bro.
Huh?
It ain't gonna fly in this day and age.
It won't work the same
way. No,
it
now, won't.
Right?
It just
because we're not the same. Hey, Crypto Blood, we not the same no more. It was more unity and galvanization back then.
Amen.
We ain't doing that no more.
No.
Also, because it's a loss of knowledge, brother. They want you to regurgitate history, right? I kind of feel like that's what academia position themselves. I hear brothers on your call last time say he come from the streets and this, that, and the third, which is cool and all that. We all got a background. I'm from Chicago, and that whole incorrect statement about Chicago being impoverished, brother. Nah, brother. Google the richest cities in the USA, and what you will find yourself talking about is a couple of blocks. We got to stop doing that. We must stop doing that, because what the media paints is never the whole picture. Chicago been terrible, just like Detroit. I ran back and forth to Detroit. I ain't never been to B-More before. I done ran to Grand Rapids, back and forth, Lansing, all this stuff, just playing around outside, if you will, for the integrity of the conversation. But nonetheless, Chicago is very rich, very rich. And the reason why these boys got guns like that, bro, here's the point. Here's my point. But the reason why these boys can buy these kind of weapons, brother, because the hard work dollar and the drug deal dollar is no different. And the thing about it is, you got boys in Chicago, 14, 15 years old, brother, probably with more money than me and you. Let's just be clear. But the thing that they don't have is sense. They don't have to listen to common sense, brother, because they got more money than they did. So that's what you see that a victim of. But ignorance is a bliss, right? It don't matter if you were a rich idiot or a poor idiot. But to let somebody paint Chicago as an impoverished rogue town, brother, please, let's go meet on Roosevelt Drive or Washington Avenue, and you're going to tell me. As a matter of fact, that's called the Gold Coast. They tore down the projects to build condominiums right by Soldier Field, brother.
He's probably maybe he's referring to the level of wealth for the inner city, not down in the Gold Coast. That's where I every time I go to Chicago, I'm down there in the Gold Coast.
Hey, but you know how it is in Chicago. It's like the ghetto 4 blocks, then pristine urban neighborhoods.
Oak Park,
right? I'm talking about everybody. Man, we got brothers that own homes, but that don't make the good story, brother. That doesn't make the good story.
Right.
But that's even more reason why I think we need vehicles like crypto, right? Because we do need places to go ahead and diversify our money. It might not all be metals. It might not all be ETFs. It might not all be Forex, or whatever the case may be, how you define it and invest in your money. Real estate is another great one. But we need avenues like that, brother. We
All
just
right,
do.
man. I appreciate. I got a whole bunch of people on the line. We got to get to. Good conversation, man.
All right,
Call in next time. Thank you.
Thank you, bro.
All right, Pat. Let's get on this COPPA real quick.
Yo,
I got
first of all, I want to make sure that you understand that reparations is absolutely vital to our community. Straight up, like no
But how
BS
does it?
at
How
all.
do we? Dog,
Like,
I hear
dude,
that.
for real.
I
For
hear
real.
that.
Like,
But people always say, and they just throw it out there. Like, no, I need to hear a realistic roadmap and game plan to reparations because it just don't make no sense, man.
Here's the thing, okay? When it comes down to it, government spending is out of control. It's absolutely rampant. All right, and you're right. The people that literally invaded this country stole it from the Native Americans. When the Native Americans literally settled an entire civilization, they established electricity, lighting. Literally, they had all this infrastructure. They had plumbing. Like, they had modern buildings that look like infrastructure from Moscow. Like, dude, these people literally created entire ecosystems, and they were flourishing in the middle of America. And it was just literally taken from them. It was literally destroyed. And then they literally had to bond and mate with other African Americans that were shipped over from Africa, as slaves in order to get rights. Like, that alone is tied to our lineage. Like, straight up, this country was stolen from Americans, Native Americans.
Pat, you giving me backstory. I don't want to hear backstory.
Okay,
I want to hear what
you
do
want to
we
hear
do?
a plan, a game
what
plan.
are we doing?
For sure, I get it.
How do we implement reparations in 2020?
All right, when it comes down to it, like, you need to. All right, so we're doing data analysis on people's DNA. Like, you've heard 23andMe, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I did
So-
the ancestry.
Exactly. Ancestry. Literally, you can backtrack everybody's lineage through their DNA, their genome. And that's how you actually issue this form of reparations. And it'll be in the format of...
I'm not even going to co-sign that, bro. Here's why I'm not going to co-sign that. Simple fact. I can look at my family alone, bro. We are like a shaded rainbow, rainbow, okay? I can go to the real blue, black, dark on one side, and I can go all the way over to the hazel green eyes and very fair white looking skin on the left side, okay? So no. You're not gonna be on your DNA said, not to mention the way that they actually put out that information for what the data set pool is, they do not have all of the quote accurate information for the shit that they be telling people that they quote are, okay? So no, we're not gonna co-sign that one. No. You got white people who are 2 generations removed from their black ancestors.
See, that's what I'm saying, bro.
Come on, man. But dude, that's
complicated, though.
Kind of rape, dude. Come on, man. That's kind of rape if you think about it. Like, come on, man. Master sleeping in with his workforce, like that's that
First
kind
off,
of like.
Let's go with this one then, right? Let's go 600 years back. Let's go 800 years back. Let's go 1,000 years back.
Bro, we're talking about 2 generations away, though, bro. America's only 3 generations old. We're talking about like 180 years. America's been around, if that. Like, come on, man. Like, let's be real here.
No, no. And we're saying that slavery has been a thing in the U.S. for more than 200 years in relation to the colorism of it. How are you telling me that America is only 100 and something years old?
Man, I'm talking about the true establishment of America. Like, I'm talking about like 1913 establishment, the modern day society that we've established right now. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Not just the whole establishment of America being populated by colonists and then being abducted from the Native Americans. Literally the Louisiana Purchase, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the true origins of what we're living in today, our modern day society.
Man, listen, man. Y'all niggas crazy.
Okay, all right, let's get on COPPA. All right, let's talk
about COPPA. Yeah, please, let's talk about, because I'm just, listen, I can't get with the reparations, man. It ain't happening.
What?
And I don't see a clear path to reparations, and it's a stupid it's a distraction for Black America. We need to work on just getting our economic power up. You know, we spend so.
We were talking about it yesterday, having that.
We're the number one
identity.
consumer in this country from as far as a group. Yet we don't own anything. So the whole reparations thing that sound good on paper, but I ain't with it. But all right, COPPA. Let's talk about COPPA.
All right, what if the government issued a smart contract and it was literally based on the premise of being African American?
What does that mean? What is African American?
You can, all right. African American is the idea, the premise of your blood being at least 1/8 African. Okay, 1/8. All right, at least.
Do you know how many white people?
That's everybody. That's white people.
That's not just everybody.
That's white people, bro.
All right. How about this 1/4? 1/4, okay? 1/4.
Oh, now we changing to 1/4. Lord Jesus.
Moving the goalposts. Not to mention, and this is my monkey wrench to your other thing about the DNA thing, is there were Black people here before Columbus came.
Oh, of course.
So,
it's too.
Like, that's the idea. Like, bro.
It's like too complicated, man.
Lost tribes of Israel, man. You kidding me?
All right.
Yo,
so let's talk about COPPA, because that we'll never get anywhere. We got our white viewers. They confused. Let's talk about COPPA, man. This is a big issue.
All right. Okay, so COPPA, in case you guys don't know, is the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. Mm-hmm. And accordingly, a child means that you're under the age of 13 and you're an operator of a smartphone, a computer, and of course, you're among several states or one of many foreign nations. So this is literally, working in tangent with the Patriot Act, which is a global act of surveillance, data surveillance.
Which just got renewed recently.
Exactly.
Yep. We just talked about it.
Yeah, I know.
We just talked about it.
Yeah, they pushed it in that financing act, to stop the whole government shutdown.
Yeah, when they were all over there talking about impeach Trump, they just slid it right in on us.
I get it, dude. It's a mess, man. And honestly, I heard you say something about the Democrats being a terrorist organization to sell. Dude, I think the whole government's a terrorist organization to sell, but that's another story, man. Anyway, so literally, this is a service that's going to be operating with the homepage of any website, pen pal service, an electronic mail service, or message board or chat room. So just about the entire internet is going to be surveyed for anybody that was under the age of 13. I don't know about you guys, but like when I was a kid, like I was treated as not a minor. I was treated as any other user on the internet. This is literally establishing a different sect of the internet for these specific sets of users that are underage.
Right. So COPPA is going to be enacted here on YouTube January 1st, for those that don't know, and it's essentially going to kill all those children channels. They are done. Like they can't monetize. They don't have comments. I think they already don't have comments. They can't monetize, no comments, no alerts, no subscription, I think, as well.
Just the comments. Yeah.
No comments, no subscription,
Pretty
no
much,
live chat. No live chat. Basically, you're done. Okay, demonetized, all that. So it's like, my question though is, what is really going on here? Because I thought this was part of the FCC. This is actually the FTC, not the FCC. Mm-hmm. We got like 3,000 different agencies in this country. That's a whole nother topic that we.
You're
can
right.
Talk about
Total
later,
bureaucracy.
It's just it's ridiculous. But do you think they're actually? This was my thought when I first heard it, bro. The first thing I thought is like, oh, they're going at cats that are making the $20 million a year. What's the little kid, the Asian kid? He made 20 mil last year on YouTube. They're going at all these kids are making buku money.
Mm-hmm.
And my thought was that the Disneys of the world, the Netflix, they are in cahoots or in collusion with the FTC and really push this to the forefront so that it would eliminate a lot of revenue for these content creators online. What is your thought on that?
Well, first of all, my idea is that it's not just about one specific platform. It's about the entire artificial intelligence apparatus. It's about literally establishing guidelines for treating these users as minors, respectably. And not only that, you stated that YouTube is trying to enact this as soon as possible, but really, like, websites have 18 months to comply. So, yeah.
Right, but what does that mean that we see that YouTube is enacting it out like starting January 1st? They were actually sued. Mm-hmm. They settled for 170 something million with the FTC. Mm-hmm. I just think, man, I think this all ties into, in addition to this, I think this ties into the whole like Instagram likes and that thing disappearing. Like they're not telling us something, bro. They're not telling us something.
So how I'm looking at this, and me and you've been going on this a while, CB, about like, getting out the content on the YouTube algos, right? Mm-hmm. And I haven't moved on it like, I probably should, but I was never looking to use YouTube as a monetization thing. For me, I think it's more so with what they're doing. You have the talking point, the umbrella. Hey, this is about the kids. No one's gonna argue about the safety, quote, safety of kids, right?
Until you look. If
you
deeper.
Argue that publicly,
that headline, right?
It's gonna be one of those like, what's wrong with you? Like, why would you not look to protect the kid? Yeah, right. But it's a oh god, there's a term for when you use certain sentimental things in argument. I can't remember the name for it right now, but I think there's more of a bigger back end agenda thing going on for how they're going to push out algo, like upgrade the algo to be able to go through the content and then like start really just like stomping out people's channels. Because we already see the little things that happen for the people we know, for who we used to watch and all that stuff, with how your likes get messed around with, your number count get messed around with, your alerts get messed around with. We saw what they did, what was that, earlier this year and part of last year. There's been like, what, 2 or 3 purges this part of the, like this year alone on YouTube. I mean, to me, it looks like there's a bigger thing going on the back end, and we're just getting the talking points as the front story. That's what
really doesn't make. And what really confuses me about this COPPA thing in YouTube, they implemented in the back end for those who are not content creators. There's now this section where, in a general manner, you can select, is your channel for kids? And it'll say, yes, my channel is for kids, or no, my content is not appropriate for kids, and I'm not even trying to, those are the two options. However, in the COPPA laws, in the guidelines from the FTC, there are 3 different categories. You got content for kids, content that's not for kids, and then you've got a middle one, like one that's a mixed content. Why YouTube didn't allow you to say you have mixed content is, I don't understand. I'm very confused as to why they didn't add that third option in there that COPPA clearly states as a type of category. Right.
Because that's a gray area. That's an absolute gray area. I'm not for sure if you guys know about this meme, but there's a meme that's been trending on the internet for like, since I was like, in high school. It's called I'm 12 and what is this? You know what I mean? We're like, they would see something absolutely outrageous on YouTube and they would type, I'm 12 and what is this? Like, it's just like something that just made sense. Like, they would see something that's like absolutely pornographic or something that's truly brutal and violent that should definitely not exist on YouTube. And it's on YouTube. And they would just type, I'm 12 and what is this? And yeah, that's just like the idea. It's the premise of censoring these outrageous fringe ideas that are.
I will say, I have a daughter, right? She's 8. I will say, sometimes I'll walk by and I'll see her, and she'll be on YouTube Kids. We have her on YouTube Kids, but you'll have these videos of these adult individuals playing with toys, man, and these weird voices, like real creepy ass stuff. So I can understand some of the stuff But at the same time, the kids are gonna get online and watch videos regardless of COPPA, and you know, I guess I don't know, man. I don't know if they're just trying to make the incentive to do videos none, so that it just gets rid of all the videos, or what. I will say this about the COPPA though. One thing in there that is a positive light is that they're changing the way more racier, R-rated content, they're going to be able to still get monetization. So you're not going to be demonetized anymore for your racier content, because they're going to basically match you with advertisers that are interested in, you know, displaying to an audience that is of rated R or above. So that's cool.
I hate the damn commercials you have in your shows now, bro.
What comes up? I don't get to pick them.
Like, and I mean, like, they don't even
Tia Lopez.
They don't even let a full 5 minutes pass in your stuff anymore, bro. Like, it'd be like 3 minutes and then boom, commercial. Another like 2 minutes and change will pass, boom, another, and I'm just like, what the, bro? They are pumping all of your stuff with commercials, bro, and it's stuff that's like not even related to anything you're talking about. And like I've been noticing it for like the last couple of months, and I'm just like, yo, what the
at least he's monetized, right? You monetized, right, Crypto Blood?
Yeah, I'm monetized.
See, that's what's up. See, that's what matters, bro. There's a lot of people that are against the state. There's people that are demonetized, man. Like, you gotta respect him regardless. He's not choosing his sponsors.
I'm not hating on Blood for monetizing his channel. What I am saying is, for how the algos work on the back end for matching what his content is with a company that's looking to market, it's total opposite shit.
But that's the thing, though, Trek. It doesn't match my content. The ads are tailored to you. So if you're on Pornhub, you're gonna see porn. That's why you're getting all those porn ads, man. You got to stop being on Pornhub, bro.
Really,
I'm
bro?
telling you about that.
No, it's about the idea of like straight up like targeting the audience, man. He's got a point. It's machine learning.
They're doing a horrible job at it, bro, because it's all shit that I am so not interested in. And as soon as I can hit that like skip, boop, skip. And then that's why I have I use Brave on everything, on like all of like phone, laptop,
that's good.
Everything is Brave.
Yeah.
Because in part of that, and then I'm actually about to do some next thing on like on the back end part of it, because some of this shit is just like totally annoying to me. And I watch this stuff because I gotta be like, all right, let me catch up on this new information, and let me make this joke about something he said.
Yeah.
But bruh, some of the shit I'm just like, why is this even on his shit right now? It has nothing to do with him, and I'm not even interested in this. I don't buy anything that I see in a YouTube, you know what I'm saying, commercial. Like, no.
So what's your take? Before we get to the next caller, thanks, Pat, man. I appreciate you joining in on that one. What's your take on COPPA, man? I didn't get your take too much, Trek. Yeah, Trek. Yeah.
Oh, no. Like I said, I think that there's something bigger going on the back end, and we're just getting the front end talking point of, we trying to save the kids. It's about the kids, and no one's gonna publicly argue about, it's not about kids. Like, and honestly, I honestly think it'll probably take us a couple of months into 2020. So maybe like second quarter, third quarter, when we really start seeing it like pushing through the channels, and like and people who are more on they're
gonna fine people $42,000 every video they're violating. They got an algo that they're gonna be going and crawling through and flagging. I think it's a scare tactic.
False positives?
Yeah, I think it's got to be a lie. It's got to be. You know.
But that, bro, I also think it's gonna be part of the whole thing, like with what Google is pushing with their algos as what is it, algorithmic fairness?
Oh, like, okay.
And that's a whole nother thing on how your content is like whatever stuff you put in, whether you want to talk about, Google storage, whether you want to talk about your YouTube channel or whatever thing, you end up having your stuff scanned, it's cached. And so now with this new thing of where, what is it? I'm trying to remember what this thing is actually called, but the point being is, the algos are being upgraded to automatically go through the content, whether you're talking about audio, video, pictures, whatever. And then there's a thing that will then kick in on the algorithmic fairness side, which will say, is this good stuff? Is this bad stuff? But the back end
We're
part
gonna get
of
to the
it is,
AI too in a second, bro. Did you watch that video?
Which one?
The one on the AI, the hide and seek one. Did you check that one out? I sent you. All right, hold on. Let's get this next caller. Call on the line. It's your boy Crypto Blood, off the chain. Got my co-host tonight, Trek.
It's LJ again.
Oh, it's LJ. Hold on, LJ. Let me get this other caller because I got someone else.
All right, go ahead. Okay.
Let's see here. Caller on the line. It's your boy Crypto Blood.
Hello.
Hey, yo. Hey, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
I saw you guys want to talk about AI takeover. This is Radioactive 3D.
Yo, what's going on, bro?
Not much. Saw you guys was watching your video and I saw the thing and I was like, AI takeover, and you guys talking about Google fairness, and that's kind of like one of the areas that I work in quite often as a hobby. I do Zayo and stuff like that. You guys see all the time.
Bro, trust me, we talk about it on the Twitter side. So, yo, CB, like this dude right here, I think if y'all had like an offline conversation, you'd be really interested in some of the things that he's dealing with.
So help me out, man. I'm very concerned with AI and the progress of it. What are your thoughts, man? This thing is getting out of hand because it's really going to see America and even globally, just I would say first world really don't understand what's coming at them. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about white collar jobs, man. This is the problem. People think they're safe because they're not picking up garbage every Monday. No. I'm talking about higher level white collar jobs. Give me your thoughts on that, man.
All right, well, yeah, AI is definitely being controlled as high up as they can. I mean, even Bill Gates has been in meetings for AI and how the technology is supposed to form. True AI has no problem. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. It looks for stuff. It can monitor things like South Korea has monitors that uses AI to find people in need. And it's one of the best AI technologies out there, and Google actually uses it. But Google's content fairness is controlled right here because it's not actually like fairness of the content. It's fairness of what the controllers of the Google heads believe is fair in the content. So they have a lot of control of what is considered fair. Like you can search on Google Hillary Clinton and then put is and see what comes underneath it. Do the same thing with any other president, basically, or anyone else running for president, including Trump, Obama, and you'll see the fairness of what's being popped up. Even if you start putting in more specific, like Hillary Clinton is a human, and you even when you get more specific, they are suggesting you stuff that isn't really fair to the content, and it really persuades you to want to go to something else. To even go, let's say, as far as like when you type in stuff like Trump is, it will actually ask you if you want to go see something about Hillary Clinton. And so the problem with AI is the training of the AI. They can control how it's being trained, and so they can control how the AI works. Like I use Zayo, and it's a Chinese-only application. And so like I've been controlling it to understand more types of faces.
Yo, so
what is your thoughts about open AI though? There's different levels of AI, right?
Yes, there is.
Do you have any experience?
Open AI just has less training.
Yes. So, do you have any experience in that realm? Because that's where I'm more concerned about. Because it learns. You may have a seeded token or whatever that gets it started, but it goes out and just learns and retools and recalibrates on its own, man.
Yeah, like Presearch has a really good system that does pretty much exactly that. And in the early stages of Presearch, I was really cracking down hard on Ruby and cracking their system. And I built a web page on CodePen and ran it through itty bitty site, which makes it into a secure hash website on its own without a server, and was able to get CodePen to pay me out more than 8 times a day. I got paid 28 times every day by simply telling the server that I had not searched yet today. That's all I had to tell them, is some of my results. My search so far, Presearch, was 0. And it would give me a fresh result every time.
Like I told you, bro, he be on it. Yo, by the way, ACU said what's up. He on IG. He said what's up.
Oh, that's what's up. But yeah, the AI actually eventually found it and fixed it after about 3 days. And then I actually informed the owner of the system, and they were able to find out how it was able to get faked like that. I was able to fake enough of their systems without knowing their system to actually get the system to think I was a part of it, because they have a decentralized AI. And there's another system that runs AI. They run probably one of the best open AIs, and it's for the running of the EOS channeling. So when you're voting for EOS, they look for people that are spamming the system. And it has the best AI because it does one action. And that's really where your AI gets to be really good. I run a micro supercomputer that can run up to 16 AI simultaneously. And it seems to show, like, when you're running multiple AIs to each do one thing. Okay, I run an AI to look for scripts that are hacking. I run an AI looking for scripts that are jacking me when I'm doing a video or when I'm on this or that. And I got a script running my private DNS. And so they all run really well because they don't do anything else. But when you have one AI trying to do, okay, I need to search for people under this age with this meta tag, and I need to put in under this header, look for this with these, and under videos under 10 minutes, search them for skin percent. It really adds on what they're doing, causes miscalculations, misfires, accidents. And that's what I'm doing with Zayo. Like, I'm training Zayo with, like, I got free downloads, over 1,500 downloads for free of the Zayo app on non-Chinese citizens. So AI is being confused all the time. Like, I've made myself look like other actors in other places with their system.
If you follow his Twitter handle, bro, and see the stuff he does with that, it's hilarious.
Yeah, at Radioactive 3D.
All right, cool. I'll check you out, man. I've seen you on there. Yeah, I've seen you on there. I've seen you on Trek's feeds before. Cool, man. Any last thoughts about, like, AI in the workforce? Like, that's really what I'm concerned about.
I think blue collar is going to catch it for white collar.
Yeah, they already got AI set up in a lot of security firms. Like when they're watching employees and stuff, that's already implemented. So they're already being trained in it. That's why they're able to find people who are, like, cheating the system. They're able to find people who are, like, cheating on their wives faster. And even Facebook has AI looking for people who are cheating on their wives. So, like, we're actually fully built into it. If you're on social media, you have AI looking at you almost 24/7. And your only way to fight it is to learn how to run AI, get a micro supercomputer for $100 by Aptiva, and actually fight it on your own system. Like, I run my AI as my private DNS. So all of my phone calls, everything I do on the internet, it's making sure that I'm clean both ways. All my computers, my miners that I'm running on mobile, they're all being made sure they're clean both ways.
Are you
so, like, that's your only way to do it.
Are you familiar with the whole GPT-2 algo and the text generating?
I've been messing with them. I have not gotten too far into it, although I do know that they get scary good at getting motions. I've been watching people do raps with them to where they can get to where it actually sounds like a real person, or do country songs where they're actually getting to where they're following the tune and they're making the long notes where they need to be.
They're doing
it. Gets really scary.
The GTP2 is so crazy, bro. Like, they're playing music, like, they're creating, like, huh?
You know what Vocaloids is? Bro, my
Yeah,
daughter.
that's basically what the.
Yes, my daughter put me onto Vocaloids, bro. It's basically computers singing, bro. That's basically what it is.
Yep.
And
And you run it, and it more and more, and it gets better and better.
Wow.
It's scary, bro. It's
well, thanks
scary.
for the call, man. I'm going to get to the next caller. I appreciate the call in.
All right, no problem. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. See you, Trick.
All right, bro. Good hearing from you, man.
It's your boy Crypto Blood. Who's calling
Oh,
in?
hello.
Hello.
What's going
Hi. Hi. Okay. Cool. Hi, my name's Tiffany. I'm calling in. I'm trying to talk for a little while, so there's a few things I wanted to touch on, but I guess I
What's
should
going on, lady?
Hi.
This guy Trek got all the groupies coming sliding through on the live stream.
Groupies.
Not even like that, bro.
No, I'm just.
You don't mean it that way.
I know. I'm just playing. So, Tiffany, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind? Like, I know we talked about a whole bunch tonight.
Okay. Well, I was going to talk about AI, and there's this gentleman, 10 Pound. I don't know if he's the one who was just speaking or he's just on the chat right now. But we're hearing a little bit debate about AI and machine learning. I'm not saying that AI isn't machine learning or machine learning isn't AI, but they're taught differently. And I don't think there's anything wrong with AI, but and machine learning, but if it's not taught in a certain way. Right now, it's taught to kill, it's taught to military, it's taught to retrieve data from any and everywhere. And whoever is in the know of this information, they can use it to whatever means they want. This is what Russia's doing. This is what China's doing. This is what
America's doing.
Nefarious thing is doing right now. So it's not AI that's bad. It's just that we need to take more control of this space and teach AI. It's just think of it. You have a 5-year-old kid who's watching PG or rated R movies, or he's watching a Family Guy. It's a cartoon, but obviously it's talking or dealing with like really deep adult content, but it's masked in a cartoon. That's not anyone's fault. Then maybe the parents and algorithms, but that's not AI being bad itself. It's just doing what it does. And if we don't become more knowledgeable about that and how to control it, how to put our own spin into it, then yeah, AI is going to run amok.
Well, that's the thing, though, Tiffany. Like, what about these variants, these different types of AI, i.e., I'm talking about like your open AI architectures and stuff. I'm not saying I'm an expert on any of this stuff, but I've been, studying on this stuff a little bit more. These types of frameworks learn on their own, right? So we don't, we don't really have a control over which.
But what is learning? How do we learn? Think about this. AI is really an avatar, an extension of us. We learn from watching and observing. So AI is watching and observing our behaviors. It's only mimicking what we're doing. So if it's seeing porn, military, drugs, sex, violence, whatever, then that's what it's going to replicate. It's important, and that's why an open, decentralized system is excellent. It's really the only way to make AI not become this super bug virus and eat the entire existence of man. Like, seriously.
I would say the opposite. I would say if we combine AI with decentralized networks, then you can't stop. Like, I would think it would be the other way around. It would be able to propagate through the networks much easier than a centralized one. Yes or no? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, 10 Pound, I'm going to let you chill Sterling. And just listen. Yeah, I'm going to let him just listen to what I have to say if he's into it. There's no debate here. We understand what AI is, and we understand what machine learning is. It's two different things in the way that it's approached. When, for instance, my specialty and what I'm into is AI and its cognizance on behavior and how it mimics different organizations and organizational systems. I don't find anything wrong with AI. It's just like saying the internet was bad. Oh, the internet is email. No, it's not. It's what we're exposed to at first. One of the first things was email. And so we likened that and understood that to be what that was. But the internet is so much more than just email. But it's upon us to make programs and to make applications to put on the system, to put onto AI, to put onto the blockchain that will make it move in the directions that will help society. Now, I might sound really optimistic or a bit naive, but the more people having discussions like this helps to build the framework so that we can understand how to approach it.
Right. I agree.
You know, I mean, technology is not bad. I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to say that technology is bad.
Technology is not bad. Technology is not bad because what is technology? It essentially helps us.
It's indifferent. Technology is indifferent. It doesn't have a conscience. It just does.
But AI, but that's the thing. Like this AI stuff is on the brink of having
to fix our consciousness, not AI. We can't fix AI. We know this. We can't change it. We can't do it. In fact, we're scared of it because we're scared of ourselves because we know that our behavior is destructive. We know that we're destructive. We know that human beings are literally a plague on this planet, and we're the only things that don't work with this ecosystem.
The thing
There's turtles that's been living here for fucking thousands of years, excuse my French, and we still don't get it. We are not in natural harmony with what's going on, and so AI is going to be doing the same thing. We have to change how we're programming AI, or we have to be cognizant of how we're programming it.
Okay. No. Good take. Anything? I think you said you had a couple.
I don't really want to go back to the Trump thing, but I don't know who was saying what about. I'm just saying that if we're talking about reparations and someone in the same breath can talk about Donald Trump or backing Donald Trump or whatever, that to me just sounds completely off the rocker. Completely off the rocker.
Why is that?
Because I'll tell you one thing.
Okay.
If the roles was reversed and Mr. Donald Trump was, he would be looking for reparations because he knows that's what this demographic wants. And just like he does with his demographic, he plays them, placates to them, does what he wants, says what he wants because he knows how to manipulate them. I don't like Trump. I think what he's good for, he's an example of what white privilege to its extreme can be. And learning and studying that as a Black woman, I think is very important. And that's how I can appreciate it.
So,
when someone can go, if you can go and get a Kanye to go and I'll say this and then I'll be done. Kanye and Trump is a metaphor for what's going on in this entire zeitgeist right now. He is being used as a pawn. And as much as he may think he's doing his whatever thing, he's being rebel-like and whatever, he's being used as a pawn.
So let me ask you this, Tiffany. So when Jay-Z and Beyonce get up there with Hillary, and Obama and them, they're not. Are they being used as a pawn?
And please tell me what they said.
I'm just saying.
Did they go and make an album about Obama?
I'm just saying. Are they also being used as a pawn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure
Yes.
that was
Yeah,
okay.
no, it's all, yes, it is. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to play into the game and you're going to say, oh, I'm a Trump supporter, I'll do this and that, I don't like the way I'm being used here. I don't like the way that Kanye is being used. And he thinks he's being clever.
I don't think he's being used. I think he has mental issues. And
okay.
but that doesn't necessarily mean that every action
he's being taken advantage of. He's not in his right space to mind, and he's being taken advantage of.
I mean, it's hard to say because he does have he's suffering from mental illness on a high level. So I don't know.
He has handlers. He has people who tell him what is what. Trust. I know for a fact. I do. I'm telling you that he is not in a safe place.
No, I hear you. So who do you like, if anyone, in this race?
That's in this race. I'm still on the fence about a lot of things. Camilla.
Okay.
I think I like what she stands for, what she represents. I can't get around the fact of her being a prosecutor and that mentality coming from that mentality, that mindset.
Yeah.
It's a little scary.
Yeah.
Although I like what she stands for, who she is, and what kind of change she can bring about. Andrew Yang had some interesting things to say. I just don't think that we're ready for him. I think he's like 10 years from now. And I don't think that the Democratic Party has put him in the best light. And the other thing, he's not very articulate in the way, he's not very charismatic. So you
don't need to be. If you ask me, look at W. Bush.
What? Donald Trump is
fantastic. Donald Trump, fantastic.
That's not the space we're in anymore. You guys were talking about that earlier. That doesn't translate. A Donald Trump translate. A reality TV star can translate. That's why Bloomberg is in this.
Yo, people forget Reagan was a cowboy, a cowboy dude. Like, it's not like this is the first time a TV personality has crossed over into the political system. Like that framing reference of, a reality TV dude is the president. Like Reagan was a cowboy TV show dude. Like it's not new.
Yeah, it's not new. It's not. And here's the issue, Tiffany. People want to blame Trump, but no, you have to blame the people who voted for Trump. And why did people vote for Trump? Because they fed up with
I'm not blaming Donald Trump. No, we voted for him. Donald Trump is a symptom of our consciousness, which is why you're scared of AI. Okay, the consciousness of America is fucked up. And John Hill, bro, I love you to death. I'm not easily manipulated out of it.
John, she watching those chat rooms. John, don't. You telling her hang up. Oh, man. She's watching, bro.
I feel you, bro.
No, listen.
But, what does she represent? She represents women. She represents people of color.
I love Tiffany. I love that you have an opinion and you can articulate. That's all I want to hear from people. I don't want to. I get sick of the Democrats that just say Donald Trump is just. It's nonsense.
No, it's
you
not.
have to
it's
vote
not
Democrat,
Donald
and
Trump.
Democrats are for the black people,
and
blah 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 blah. I don't like hearing that. So I'm glad to hear your side of the story, and appreciate it.
Oh yeah, I definitely. And 10 pound, yes. Oh, now he's back on my side. Yes, it is AI. Consciousness is AI of America, or the free world, I should say. Him and I do agree on that. Kamala is trash, John. I just said that, though. I said I don't know. I don't have any favorites right now. There isn't anybody.
Well, if you don't have any favorites, you know what that means, right? You know what that means, right? Vote for Trump. Vote for Trump. Get it over.
Nah, I won't do it. But you know what I think is really interesting? You know who's going to be your next president? Nancy Pelosi. Now,
Wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
Wait a minute.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wait a minute.
How
That
does
devil.
that work? You want to know?
That devil.
I'll tell you. I'll impeachment with you. If this impeachment thing was to go down the right way, sorry, if it was to go down the right way, Joe Biden is going down as well.
Quid pro Joe.
Quid pro Joe.
Joe.
If shit was to go right, and Nancy, I've been watching, clocking her. She's been plotting and scheming for a minute, bro. She didn't want to come out and say, "Oh, impeachment," because that would look crazy on her. If Donald Trump is not the president, and Joe Biden, and what's his face isn't, Pence isn't, the Speaker of the House, Miss Nancy Pelosi, is your president of the United States. It's a very, very touchy line that she's, at. The same reason why she didn't want to go there with George Bush. She was the speaker. She was the Speaker of the House then as well. And when he did that call, and 9/11 happened.
I was gonna say George's situation of how his backing worked is not the same as Trump's backing.
Right.
So, like,
true.
She could talk all the game she want, and if the Bush, let's say, folks, decided to like turn up, like her whole situation would have been shut down. Okay. Now, in regards to Trump, he doesn't have the same back and leverage coverage of things.
No.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like
because he's really not in the circle. He's not in the circle, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So it's like they doing what they do to him, and I'm not saying anything is fair or well deserving or whatever. I'm just saying Nancy Pelosi, I understand the technical of how it would fall because of the position she holds, but oh man, that would, in my mind, that would be a very sad day if that happens, because she gives two licks about like the actual American citizen.
Nah, she doesn't. She doesn't at all. She doesn't at all.
We all know this whole thing is a farce. We are just feeling it. But there are the rules of the Matrix, and these are some of the rules that we got to live by in this Matrix, all right? That's true. That's what it is. We all know this shit is fucked up.
Yeah, it is. I agree with you there. I'm just trying to have a little fun while I'm here. All right, Tiffany, thanks for calling in.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. All right, take care.
Later.
All right, LJ.
Hey.
Thanks for holding, man. So,
man, no problem, man.
Yeah. So,
I wanted to talk about that AI for a minute, man. I skipped the other controversies. Some of the other people they embarrassed themselves enough, so I ain't even gonna go there. But the AI. I think sometimes we often are naive when we think about things. Everything has a good and a bad component, man. We need to stop being so naive into believing that, automatically, look, the rifle was great when it came to shooting down big game so that you could feed more people.
Yeah.
It made it a lot more easier. But then once that was applied to war, and me taking things that other people had or those aspects, and it became, I think that AI, it's coming whether we like it or not, just like digital currency. I always talk about, we're going a digital world whether we like it or not. So we have an objective either to choose a digital store of value that we have full control over, or one that is handed to us by these legacy systems. Because once we get to that point to where there's no more cash, we won't be able to go back. Right now, we are at a very pivotal time where we need to decide as the populace, as the people, what technologies are we going to hold on to that are going to help us to thwart the bad sides of these technologies. And now when we talk about AI, I always tell people I envision a time in the very near future where we'll pull up to a stop sign and everybody in the car will be scanned, because we have devices, whether it's our phones, whether it's the car, our watches, and these things. And we'll be scanned to determine whether does this person owe some money? Does this person have a debt? Has he paid his tickets? Or even to the point where does this person say something on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube that we don't like? And guess what? We can hit the switch. We can pull out what is owed, like if tickets are owed or things. We can pull that out immediately because now he's come into our AI sphere where we can now say, okay, we can pinpoint him out of the millions and say, oh,
and
we got one that
that's
owes
what I'm
us.
saying, LJ. Any type of tool or technology will always be exploited and perverted.
Okay.
It never.
So now this is where,
fails.
yeah. That's inevitable. So now so what we need to do is I also envision that there will be a time where we'll have people who have created systems to where we can pull up to that same corner or that same stoplight and I can be in the car and they scan all of us. But because I have some type of blocker or some type of chip or I've got some type of fake profile that's inside my phone or my system, it just clears me. He says, oh, he's good. He's good. But crypto, he owe us some money for the ticket. Let's snatch that. But LJ, he's good. He's clear. And so I think that's where we need to be as a populace and as people, where we need to be focusing on, because the technology is going to be here irregardless. We can't stop that. It's just like digital. We're going to be going digital whether we like it or not. That's another reason why I think China is smart enough to realize, look, because no government at this point really understands crypto. They're still kind of confused about it. So China said, well, look, we see that this has the ability for us to control our populace, the blockchain. So we're not going to get rid of this whole technology as a whole. We're going to take one side of it. The other aspect of it, we're not so for sure because we think this might diversely affect our money supply or our money or how we control our money. So they're taking the stance that, okay, we're going to get a handle on this ahead of time and use this to help us gain more control. So that goes back to the same thing with the AI. We've got to be creating systems that's going to at least keep AI in check for those who are conscious enough to want to have some sense of freedom. You got to realize there's going to be a whole lot of us that are going to walk right into the plantation, hook, line, and sinker. It's like by the time they take cash from us, there'll be people who won't object because we already are swiping. We already are using our debit cards. We already are using our phones. So there's going to be a whole host of people who are going to go full head into the whatever digital system that the banking cartels and governments hand over to us. They're going to go full into that, not understanding the ramifications of that. That, hey, if they don't like you, they can cut you off. And we see that every day. You go in the stores today and somebody will swipe and they'll get rejected, even though they have money in their account.
So let me ask you this. They already have this over in China, man. What you're talking about.
Yeah, I've seen a video on it where they're doing the face recognition, the whole nine. Where they can scan your face. They can scan your face and then say, we rejecting you. You can't spend your money today.
Yeah.
Bro, this system is
that could be a punishment.
Real time.
Yeah, it's real time.
In real time. And so we need, there you go. So now that's happened. That's going to happen irregardless. So now the only way we can counterbalance that is to create systems that put a monkey wrench in that, or systems that block or allow us to still be anonymous, to some degree, and there's no doubt that there aren't people working on that, like the dude earlier talked about the system that he had at home, his home system that he's setting up to use to help clean, all this different digital transmissions. I try to make it a point to oftentimes, use VPNs, use Brave. I often, I like when they do give me commercials that aren't relevant to me, because that means that at least to some degree, I'm doing enough things to where you can't pinpoint who the hell I really am.
Yeah,
you're right.
You're right. And even if it means me searching stuff that is irrelevant to anything, because my get down, I'm an oxymoron. I grew up with hip hop, I grew up with rap and funk and all that, but now I roll in my car and I listen to classical.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? So once again, and I come out the streets, but then at the same token, there's very few of my peers that I can talk to about crypto. There's very few white folks I can talk to about crypto. So once again, that's an oxymoronic. Me being a techie, even though I don't even come out of tech, but me having a very clear understanding of how all these different aspects.
Let me ask you something, LJ. We talked about this last week. Do we have a PR issue in crypto as far as you talking about? You can't even talk to a black person nor a white person about crypto.
Of course we do.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I just want to know kind of where do you see the problem? How do we fix that?
Education. Listen, when I always hit little messages on some of your videos, I always talk about what we've done is we've gone from a Model T to a Ferrari, but yet the populace is still riding bikes. Once again, we're looking for all the fancy stuff when us securing an unconfiscatable store of digital value is the most important thing right now, because we're going to be digital with very little cash very soon. And if we don't have at least that foundation, we can build and do a whole bunch of other stuff on top of that. But we've got to have that first, because once everybody's money is stored under the legacy systems, you have no more control. Now I can tell you what to spend. So if I can tell you, if your wealth is based on your manpower, whether it's physical or mental, and I store my manpower in this form of currency, and if you have the ability to tell me how I can spend that, then how does that not make me a slave? Yeah. Because now you're telling me that you control the results of my manpower. And that's what we're skipping. We're skipping over all of that. We're going to all this fancy stuff, and that's fine. I think we need to explore to see what the possibilities are. But we haven't even cemented in the populace that, hey, you need to be able to secure your digital wealth yourself, because we're going here very soon, very rapid, and majority of the populace is going to be stuck because they're not going to be able to go back out of that legacy system into, whatever the people have decided as a circumvent to that. So
question, my man John Hill asked in the chat room. I didn't see this. I thought I had my super chat connected to my platform, but it seems like it's not. He's talking about ADOS. What is your where's your thought on this whole?
I'm not gonna get too much into that. I'm like this. My ancestors were on something. Now the problem is this: how it is meted out is probably going to be the most difficult problem and solution that America has ever faced. And I'm here to get mine if it's ever passed out, but I'm not waiting for that, because I understand that the odds of us getting that are very slim.
That's what I'm saying.
There are other things that we need to do. There are other things that play, but I don't deny the fact that my ancestors were owed that. Because it's like this. There's nobody in America, if they found out that their grandparents were being cheated by their employers, wouldn't feel that they had the right to go and sue for that. So just because time has passed, because y'all chose to kick it down the road, doesn't make it less invalid. Now it does make it very difficult, and that's a whole nother story, and that's a whole nother program. That's why I don't really want to get into that. I'd rather just get back into the crypto, but that's my take on that. Gotcha. Now as far as us, economics, once again, I'm a proponent of economics, regardless of anything else. Economics. I grew up in LA. We can drive down a street called Koreatown, area called Koreatown, and you'll see nothing but signs in Korean. If there's not a soul on the street, there's not one single person for you to know whose economics it is. I can look at the signage and I know whose economics it is. And they've got banks, they've got all kind of stuff. And I remember 20 years ago, they were thinking about leaving from that area because the way the area was going. And they decided to batten down the hatches. And they did that because of economics. You can go to East LA. There doesn't have to be a soul on the street. And I can look at the signage. It's all in Spanish. I know whose economics controls this area. I can go to another area off of Pico where it's Jewish and Palestinian. There ain't got to be a Jew or a Palestine on the streets and I can tell whose economics is over there. What makes it even so funny, the same people who are fighting each other over in the Middle East, in Beverly Hills, which is mostly Palestinian and Jewish, they mingle. They don't have no problem with each other. Because they're living in a life of luxury. See, once again, so that goes back to economics. It goes back to economics. It goes back to, I see that when money is involved, y'all know how to put that issue to the side.
Right.
See, so but we miss all that. You know what I'm saying? Because they got our heads so fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Because of the mediums of exchange. See, once again, it goes back to that control. They understood when you're a super billionaire, how many mansions and houses do you got to have? At some point in time, you say, I've got enough Ferraris now. What do I want to own?
Marginal propensity.
I want to own people. I want to own people. And then I said, you know what? Let me own institutions. Because if I can own the institutions that you get your information from, then I can feed you information, and any conclusion you come to is satisfactory to me. So now imagine once I own the institution, then now just because I own the institution doesn't mean that I own its message. So the next phase is what? I begin to place people within the institution. And if I have billions, I can literally drop chunks everywhere. And that's what we don't realize. And that's why they brought up, if we go back and look at, when I was in there, I tell you 4 hours every single day, bro. 4 hours. Mediums. We go back and look at how the newspapers, there was a gang of newspapers and they began to bought up by a small few. They did the same thing with radio. They did the same thing with TV. They've done the same thing with internet. This is a continuum. This is a whole get down. This is a mode of conquering. This is how empires, this is how those people who have been at the top stay at the top. Because they're not pushing that bullshit. They understand the power of me controlling how you get your information and the information you get. Oh boy, when he talked about the AI and he talked about going on searching on Google, I did this during the elections. We was trying to go on there and find out about Whitewater and the Clintons, and every time you typed it in, it would never speak of Whitewater. It would talk about, she helped the babies and this and that. But no, I want to know about Whitewater. See, and that right there let me know that, okay, I see what I got to do. So it's right there, that taught me that, okay, I've got to try to, if I'm going to seek out information on this medium here, I've got to trick it into giving me the information that I need. So then often what I would do is I use different browsers. I search, my search history is so broad that they can't make a mistake by just trying to give me a little bit of it. And then I do back check. I check from other sources. I look for other keywords. I reword it. I say it in a different way. I do that whole because I understand that you're not trying to give me all the information that's for my best interest.
On this point of what LB's making, I remember last year when I was talking to more marketing people in the crypto space, and this goes into the thing about our PR thing. I was saying to people, there is a growing segment of people who are intentionally obfuscating their digital footprint in the space, right? And people was telling me, well, no, you got Google Analytics and, you're able to do blah, blah, blah with, the different searches and being able to look up how, like, the demographics. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, people are intentionally obfuscating their digital footprint through various different means. And it's a growing segment of the digital landscape. And people would literally tell me, nah, I don't know what I'm talking about, because I didn't have a marketing background, because I didn't come from like the business world, or I wasn't running a business, or I wasn't a tech person. And I was going simply off of what I knew I was doing. And then when I would talk to other people in different cities and states and blah, 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 and in-person conversations, I would hear the same thing he's saying right now. And this is one of the issues that I have with the crypto blockchain space. We are taking old practices from Silicon Valley, from traditional marketing, from traditional tech, and thinking, oh, we can just push these things of how we want to narrate the story of what people, yo, I swear to God, ACU, you're killing me right now with the Dave Chappelle shit. I'm sorry. He over here making jokes on the IG feed. But we're pushing out things in this framework that's the old way of shit. Like, this new user base, this new demographic.
It's a whole new paradigm.
It's a
whole new paradigm of thought, man.
Bro,
I say this. For you understanding crypto, because you got a gang of people who are considered smart who still don't get it. We have now reached what I believe is an evolution in our mental understanding, our mental paradigm. Now, you and I and many of us in crypto, we can actually understand abstract concepts beyond a point that previous generations have been able to. And many of even smart people today are not going to get it. And we're going to move on from them. They'll die off, their mindsets and so forth. And those who do will be those who will be able to circumvent many of these controls that government and corporations have in store for us.
Bro,
Yeah,
like,
no doubt,
I
man.
100% agree, man.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
And
man.
motherfuckers don't get, because you can talk to smart folks who know, it's undoubtedly this person is smart, but you can't seem to bridge this gap, and that's over the years, that's made me realize we were reaching an evolution in our mental understanding. We're going into that Star Trek phase.
Bro,
and everybody's not gonna get that.
This is the same thing I was saying, CB, the other day about how we haven't gotten to a point where enough people on a larger society level have to actually explore the capabilities and features of this technology that we call blockchain right now. We're not in those situations where we, quote, have to do it. Like,
yeah, unless you're in Venezuela or those places like that,
Right. Well, all right, man. I appreciate the call in, LJ, as always, man. Definitely love hearing from you.
Let me say the last thing on that. The last thing, man, is we got. I realize that education. That's where we're lacking in the crypto space, man. Education and user UI. We need to get some better user interface, man. I was just going through some stuff with trying to get some of that hex. And I'm looking like, damn, I got to do the Electrum wallet. And I'm like, damn, I got to do the PNP and all this to understand that. And, and then I went to GitHub and they was talking about they was having problems with the Electrum and whoops. I'm like, man, I realized that, damn, for someone who's a newbie, this is too much.
Light years ahead of what they can even, crazy.
I understand. So education and user interface is what we need right now.
Right now, definitely.
And then after that, you got to realize once we have our store of value in crypto and specifically Bitcoin, then we can begin to use it to finance. Then we can do, I can loan it out, or I can lend it, or I can do a whole host of things, and that creates a financial base that can jump off into a whole host of things, into more reinvestment into the space and the technology, or into other aspects. But we gotta cement that unconfiscatable, and people gotta understand why that's so important. People are skipping; they want the fancy stuff, not realizing that that's all good. That's all good. But if I can take it from you by the flip of a switch, then it don't matter how fancy it is.
Yeah. My man LJ, appreciate it. West Coast checking in tonight.
Oh man, no problem, man. Y'all have a good one, man. Have a good evening, my brother. And it was definitely a pleasure. You too, Trey. And I got your card. I'm gonna look at your card and see. I'm gonna hit you up, man.
Bro, I'm on SoMe damn near all day, every day, so you can find me.
All right.
I be seeing you on Twitter. But my Twitter feed is super political and super office. So I be like, I see. I say, well, here's is kind of a little bit tamer on that. Mine is. So I be like, all right, I ain't gonna, but I'm gonna holler at you.
All right, bro.
I go hard on Twitter, man. I go hard. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good one, my brothers.
All right, man.
All right.
All right, man. I think that's Pat, man. Again, appreciate you coming on, bro. Pat, thanks for checking in with us tonight. Yeah, man, that was a good session. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you check out my man Trek. Trek, hit him with all your YouTube social media stuff real quick.
All right, so basically on IG it's Trekking Cryptos. That's TREKKEN Cryptos. Don't know how to spell that. What is it? Twitter is Smart Trekking, SMARTT REKKEN, no ING, and then the podcast is anchor.fm/Trek. That's TREKK. And yeah, that's pretty much me right there. Yo,
right, bro.
AC, like we've been on since like 10. It's after midnight right now.
Yeah.
So we've been on for a while, bro, and he don't even use
for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, ladies and gents, again, thanks for checking in on another episode of Off the Chain. It was off the chain for sure. Yes. Episode 16. We'll do it again next weekend, hopefully. It's your boy Crypto Blood.
Right.
I'm out of here. Holla.
Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. I'm old school, Beretta, eye on the sparrow. I told you, make moves, nigga.